you everyone for being here. This is a really great event by AltLayer per usual. I really appreciate what the team is putting together when it comes to scaling Ethereum. As these guys are pouring water, just really quickly. So my name is Josh. I'm from Optimism, work at the Optimism Foundation. As many of you know, Optimism's main goal out of the gate is to scale Ethereum, both the stack and the values. It became pretty clear to us that while we have a quickly growing ecosystem with a strong L2 itself, that we needed to kind of continue to expand and work towards the Superchain vision. So the main kind of focus for this chat will be actually to give context of what the Superchain actually entails and some kind of key components of it, but specifically through the lens of chains that are building with us. So we're really honored to have the panel that we do today. So I guess we'll just kind of jump into it. Do you guys mind just giving a quick intro of your names and kind of what you're focusing on with the chains?
Oh yeah, starting from myself. Hello everyone, my name is Sota Watanabe. I'm CEO at Xterio and the director of Soneium. Soneium is a chain which we are developing together with Sony Group. So I'm really excited to be here.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael and I'm the CEO and founder of Xterio. Xterio is a Web3 game publishing platform. We also have our own chain, it's L2 and roll-up obviously. And we, besides publishing game, we also develop our own games. We have 4 games being developed right now, and there's 1 game just being launched last week.
Hi everyone, I'm Ryan. I'm co-founder at Cyber. Cyber is a social infrastructure for Web3 social app builders, and we have a chain called Cyber L2, a part of OP Superchain, of course.
Yeah, I'm Chess. I'm the founder of the GM Network. We are the roll-up for like all the wearables, and if we focus on the AI and health consumer apps, yeah, that's the way to do.
So I think everyone can kind of hear that there's quite a bit of variety even on the stage when it comes to what the usage is for L2s. And so again, I think Eric even just mentioned it. I think we all know about the fragmentation that's happening in the ecosystem. So I think one way that I kind of hope this panel comes to fruition is everyone has a better understanding of how at Optimism via the Superchain, we're really kind of trying to connect to all of the fractured subsets of chains across the ecosystem. So I guess just to start, and also you guys please interrupt me, spicy takes, everything that Eric was just saying, so we keep everyone awake before they have coffee in the afternoon. But I'm just curious, like amongst you guys, how any of you might want to try to define the Superchain and what that actually means before we jump into this. You can go one by one or just one, doesn't matter.
Well, for us, it's mostly because of there are many things, right? Because of low gas fee, interoperability, and I think I would put interoperability is the most important for games, because the way I see it is, in the future, right now you may say, okay, there is one chain for the whole ecosystem of Xterio, but going forward, we don't know exactly how it is going to be evolved. Maybe that in different genre of game, we are going to set up a different chain for that specific genre, because for each genre there is like different kind of requirements or needs for that specific chain. For example, in the FPS, then is a lot faster. In the strategy game, is more simpler. Things like that. And then the interoperability of the different kind of games and chains will be the most important. And we believe that the Superchain stack is going to help us a lot with that part. But I will leave the details for later. But we can go on with other parts.
Yeah, maybe can I? Yeah, we are making Soneium, and our mission is to realize the open internet that transcends the boundaries. There are a bunch of the boundaries, such as Web2 versus Web3, the crypto and the real world, regulator and the degen, and so on. And the Superchain actually the transcend boundary of the chains. It's kind of United States, and we are making the state. And by the part of the Superchain, we are secure. We are sharing the security here, and we can interact with the other chain, which is actually great for the Ethereum to scale. So, and yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, love it. You basically tackled the next question I was going to ask, so that's
yeah. That's why I stopped.
Yeah, so I think the main thing out of the gate, obviously, when we think of the Superchain is having, obviously MIT open source license has always been the case with the OP stack. but then also making sure that you have standardization so you don't have too much heterogeneity, so you can have that shared security. Another big pillar of the superchain itself is actually how we have shared governance and like a shared economic model that relies on the OP token, which is a governance token. I'm just really curious, have any of you, how has it been working with your chains and either the OP governance or retro funding, any experience that you guys have had so far interacting with that part of the superchain?
I can start with our experience with the grants. Actually, we were pretty honored to have received the 500,000 OP grants yesterday from the OP Foundation. So I think for us really also adding on to what does it mean for us to join Superchain was always trying to build with the best group of builders, trying to onboard the existing communities of Superchain to more experiences that we built, right? Like, so we just finished our social summer campaign, which is a Superchain-wide campaign. We collaborated with 36 projects, all part of Superchain, and then onboarded probably hundreds of artists to join the campaign, and that kind of building with the wider ecosystem and receiving grants for those efforts is what I think really attracts us to build with Superchain in the long run.
I think for us, like this, there's not so many choices, and also Superchain is good. And we want to build all the we focus on the AI wearables, like this generate users' private health data every day, and the data should be on chain. And when we say that, I think the first one we make sure the data belongs to the users, and then they can through the very low gas and very fast transactions, and to make sure they can use the data for a lot of other purpose, like let's say if the health with social, health with game, health with different very high potentials. Yeah, that's why we choose.
Okay, Optimism would probably not be happy with this next question that I'm going to ask, but I'm really curious, like, how have you guys actually found interacting with other chains so far since you've been part of the superchain? The reason I ask that is because I think one of the most important things for us when we think about the superchain is actually the interconnectedness of the chains, which we'll talk about in a second when it comes to interoperability, but also like actually making introductions to chains talking to other chains. So we recently had what was called a Superfest campaign that was 4 different chains across roughly 50 different quests and across 50 different dApps that were all kind of loosely working together. But knowing that we're trying to work towards like a cohesive network, I'm just curious, like candidly, have you been interacting with the other chains? Has it felt like you're fairly siloed? Just give it to us raw.
We just launched a brand. We just launched a testnet, so not yet. So you guys are the right people to answer.
Right. I would say the answer is no, just because we're still very early on the interop, right? But it's really exciting to see the new dev docs around where the interop actually is going. But at this point, not really. The most of the interaction that we have is with the builders. As I said, like there are a lot of other apps that are building on OP, that are building on Base, and a lot of them easily joins a Cyber's ecosystem just because we have different demographics of users, but very similar ethos. And yeah, looking forward to the interop at the Super ERC20 and all those development, hopefully next year.
The short answer is no as well, but I can have a much longer answer because we are building many different games ourselves. So there's interoperability in terms of 2 ways. One is that, for example, one of the games that we have is dinosaurs theme, right? So for example, it's a dinosaurs war, and then you can train your army and bring the dinosaurs with armed dinosaurs together with your army and to fight other different players and users in the game, right? So it's a very, it's a very action, type of games. But dinosaurs can be more kind in some way. And then we have another game, which is a pet collection game. That pet collection game is kind of like a Pokemon that you can collect cats, dogs, and can be pigs and any kind of pets. And then obviously, when you are rearing or you are leveling up or your dinosaurs in the first game, that can actually become the NFT can actually also become a pet in the other game, and so it's a very easy imagination of how we can use interoperability in case these two games have two different chains, right? And of course, on the other hand, by this different kind of games, there will also be some mining as well, like mining for the tokens for that one particular game, and that asset can also be, can be used in other games as well. It's not just after you mine, you can only use that particular token in the first game, but that token can also be used in the other games. So these are some of the applications that I can easily imagine that would be helpful for us with strong interoperability support, even if it is on different chains.
And I think I actually appreciate you guys all saying no. It sets the bar very low for us, which is great. It makes the next 12 months much easier. And I think as we think of what we're trying to roll out with the OP stack and interoperability, to Ryan's point, the next big wave for us at Optimism is going to be interoperability, and have a lot coming through the pipes over the next 6 months, where you'll have native message passing from chain to chain. There's a new token standard that we're going to be rolling out. So basically, you'll have native burn and mint from chain to chain as well. And it won't just be on the asset side. It'll be all the way down to the message passing. So again, the idea is to fix the fragmented, not just liquidity, but fragmented data issue as a whole as we scale Ethereum. So hopefully the next time we have a conversation like this, not only is it easier because you actually have the infrastructure in place to have message passing, but more importantly, this way you guys actually start to have interconnectedness between the chains in some ways having this cooperation. So I think we know that the scaling the ecosystem is the best way to start to have the chains connecting, but candidly, a lot of it comes down to kind of like the cooperative sense. And so I asked you guys this kind of in advance to try to think about it, and you're starting to allude to it, but I'm just curious if you were to think of ways that you would like to interact with other chains. I know Soneium, you're pretty close, you're pretty new, but have you guys already started to think through, maybe not in the next 6 months because you're just getting off the ground, but maybe in the next 12, 18 months, what interop with other chains might start to look like? And I guess that's across the board for any of you guys.
Yeah, we are still testnet phase, even though we got a lot of attention right now in the market. We needed to deliver the mainnet first. And after the delivery of the mainnet, I would like to see more collaboration. I think our unique value is the strong distribution channel and the number of the existing users beyond Web3 space, especially in the entertainment domain. So we would like to onboard these kind of people on chain. I think these kind of people are not in a Web3 space. So by onboarding Web2 people into Web3, we would like to open the door for other Superchain people and the project to interact with Web2 people through our distribution channel. So I don't see any use cases yet, mainly in the entertainment section. But really looking forward to working with you guys.
I think you mean you guys. Not me.
You guys.
Not this.
Frankly, this is so far away from now, but some of the things that, as I have just explained right now, interacting between the chains of different games, that I have given some possible imagination and examples. Interacting with other kind of chains from our games. Right now, I don't have more specific example, but it could be something like how we can gamify other projects. So even if it is a DeFi project, even if it is a SocialFi project, that I'm sure that gamifying that project can be helpful as well. Gamifying meaning that, setting up different kind of smaller targets, for the users to have better retention. It's just like gamifying education or gamifying anything, right? And I think we can release a product that can help different kind of projects to use a gamified system and then to have interactions between all of us. And I think it's actually quite possible, right?
I think for us, we heavily emphasize on the experiences, right? We have a lot of artists, we have a lot of content creators. We want users to experience minting NFTs or just doing anything on chain, and we don't want to spend a lot of our efforts on maintaining liquidity, maybe just in time kind of liquidity across different chains. What Velodrome is doing sounds really interesting. A lot of the cross-mints platforms are also really interesting. We recently work with pods.media, and we work with some of the other Zora-based NFT platforms. I think we can see that just having more users engage in social activities on Cyber, but also leverage other liquidity platforms or marketplaces on others would be really interesting.
Yeah, I think now we have 1,000 devices on our chain because like we are focused on the AI wearables and like wristband, rings, different kind of our consumer sites. And now before we integrate to other super chains, I think the priority for us is we need to integrate with Apple chain or Google chain first. So because our app will launch soon, and anyone users they have the Apple House or Google House, so you can like give us a permit, and then we can using the Superchain and also AVS to secure your very private health data, and but also have a fun. So like a very crypto engagement way for fitness, for health, for activities, for sleep. So that's the goal. So I think once we have more and more users and data, that we can really like integrate with like Cyber or Xterio or even Soneium. I think there's a lot of different potentials. I agree, like Michael said, the GameFi ways are really interesting. So using crypto or NFTs, we can really like mix all the people. Like keeping house is a very easier and a fun way with your friends, and also keeping house is also keeping your wealth.
Got it. Yeah. So I think maybe we I think at Optimism want to continue to push as much of that interconnectedness as possible. So it's good to hear, Ryan, like that you're interacting with the Zora team as much as you are. But I think in an ideal world, we have each of the chains that are basically buddying up with other chains, similar to like the way we rolled out the Superfest campaign. Because obviously it's not just about having the interoperable like tech stack, but actually having the interoperable app layer side as well. So I don't know if the audience has a better takeaway what the Superchain is. I think it sounds nebulous and we have a ways to go yet. But I think the great news is we've got teams like you guys that are actually starting to build like the actual use case and app layer infrastructure side. And so obviously we're very excited about what's to come for the next 12 months in terms of the interop specs. But I'm just curious, can you guys just give any kind of alpha that's coming through your chains, and then the best way for anyone to kind of either get in touch with you guys or how to start building?
Well, I think, sorry, there are a lot of very important things of using OP, besides interoperability, right? Like account extraction, low gas fee, and all this kind of thing. So the game that we have just released last week, this kind of like an advertisement, but you guys can come to play it and to see because one of the biggest, most important thing for games is that we be able to adopt like traditional gamers, and they are so spoiled in terms of the experience that they have. Is like click, then they can start playing the game, right? And so in Web3, it's very difficult usually for them to get through the experience of setting up wallets and signing on different contracts and all these kind of things. But with the current setup, I think we have already made huge steps in terms of getting, account abstractions, getting easy for them to have, kind of what we call semi-custodial wallet, and at the same time, the transaction is much faster than before because of using OP, and I think you can try it out and see how the experience is like. And I think at the end of the day, is all about user experience, and I think we have already made a big steps compared to before.
Yeah, for us, we launched a Soneium brand together with Sony Group a month ago, and we launched a testnet 2 weeks ago, and we started a Soneium SPAC, which is a first incubation program, and the application is open right now, and we got roughly 800 application in 10 days right now. Likely we're gonna get 2,000 or something by the end of this month. So we are super excited to work with the developers and the community. Developer and the community are the king in the Web3 space. And I'm in Web3 space since 2016. And even though technology is getting mature and mature, maybe thousands time when it comes to transaction cost, but we don't see thousands more adoptions, thousands times more adoption in the Web3 world. I think it's partially because of lack of the distribution channel. And I think industry is kind of a little bit stagnating, and the people are circulating liquidity from one chain to another. And for us, we're gonna terminate this by onboarding real, general users and they don't care about whether it's deployed on other chain or Soneium or maybe OP. We should provide the best experience for these kind of the people, not only for not only for their financial gain, but also for their actual benefit. So we should empower the ordinary people beyond not only tech people and rich people, but also for general people. So it's time to go mainstream.
We have grants. Every quarter we have a grant program for developers, and we have 2 more products coming out over the course of the end of the year. So if you are a developer, if you are artists, creators, we're happy to work with you guys.
Yeah, we will soon have I think the first TG mini app, and for fitness, like there's a leaderboard. You can pick, play with your friends, like who has the most steps, like WeChat Sports, and it's also run on the Superchain and on Ethereum, not on Tong. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I think we're done with time, but thank you for joining. Thanks to the audience, and again, thank you all, Layer, for hosting the event.
Thank you.